Welcome to Hack the Real Side podcast with Heather, Ashley, and myself, Keira, where we like to explore individuals' journeys in the entertainment industry with a little bit of cheeky fun. And tonight, we're super honored to have the amazing Elisabeth Hopper. So, Elisabeth is an actor, a producer, a writer, a director. She's from London and she's been in shows such as Endeavour and Black Mirror and Doctor Who. And she's been the producer of short films such as Fortress Built by Nature and Dolapo, is that how you pronounce it?
Dolapo.
Dolapo Is Fine, which is award-winning as well. So that's amazing. And she is also part of the initiative with Bumble. And she is the co-founder of Female Film Force, which give grant money, let's see if I'm getting this right, give grant money to short films that are all about female empowerment. So we love a bit of that. That's amazing. And she's also one of the producers of Netflix documentary Talent Fund, which she can talk about later, because I don't want to say anything wrong about Netflix, because I'm pretty sure they're listening. So thank you so much for joining us today. You are fantastic. We've got so much to talk about. You have just done so many things. It's so exciting.
Just make it up as I go along.
That's fine. That's pretty much what we do as well. So you know the layout of it. I will start with some just quick fire questions, get to know you a little bit better. We know Libby as well because she has done some classes for the actors community. Some screenwriting was classes, wasn't it?
Short film lab.
That's it. So those were incredibly. Ashley, you took that one, didn't you?
I did. It's great.
So many good reviews in that one. So she has got a wealth of knowledge that she has already shared with loads of us. And we're looking forward to dig into her brain to get a little bit more information. So I'll take the first little bit and then Ashley will take the middle bit, talking about more specifics about your journey. And then Heather will do the ending with a bit more specific questions about producing and things like that. So are you ready?
Okay, no, not at all, but let's.
It's fine. We'll start off simple. What song is guaranteed to get you on the dance floor?
Ooh. Robin, Dancing on My Own.
Ooh, okay.
It's
gotta be.
It's the best.
The first one that comes to mind. It's got to be, right? It's an
That's
absolute
a good one. That's a good one. I like that one. If animals could talk, which animal do you think would be the rudest?
The rudest?
Which one has like an air of arrogance about them?
I mean, it's too obvious to say a cat because I love cats as well. And I think they would be absolutely hilarious if they could speak because you'd just be like, yeah, great.
I don't think I'd want to know.
No, I know. I don't think I'd want to know. The rudest animal, a mosquito, because who likes a mosquito?
Yes, that is true. Biggest killers, most dangerous animal.
Well, quite.
So there you go. And I bet they're really arrogant about that title as well.
I hate them. Yeah.
Yeah, hate them. Absolutely. What is your favorite Disney character?
Ooh,
I know these are hard hitting. I really go deep with these.
You do. These are deep. These are deep. Disney. Okay, my favorite Disney character. Oh God, I'm feeling terrible. I haven't watched Disney in a really long time. What was my favorite as a kid? Probably like Mufasa or Simba. Maybe Simba. Should we go Simba?
Yeah, got to love a bit of Simba. I had a massive crush on the guy that voiced on the kid. I was a kid too, though, so it's okay. Who voiced Simba in the film.
Wow.
I still love him a little bit. Jonathan Taylor-Thomas. You girls must have had a crush as well.
Yeah. Home Improvement. No crush here, but yeah, I watched Home Improvement.
Okay, whatever.
Probably because I was too old. Because I'm older than you, Keira, so that would have been a little creepy.
Barely. Which historical figure would you love to go back in time and just spend the day with? Just chill, find out about them.
I mean, the most. It'd be like an Audrey Hepburn. It would, or someone political. No, I don't think I want to know that. A historical figure. Let's go, Audrey Hepburn. These are such basic answers, guys.
No, they're not. No, they're not at all. And I could totally see you playing her in a biopic of her life. Definitely. You've got such an Audrey Hepburn look about you. Yes, let's make this happen. We're putting it out into the universe. And Netflix, you know you're listening. So get that.
Happen.
You know.
Lord, that's the biggest compliment anyone has ever given me.
Ah, yes, in your face, James. In your face, James.
Yeah, quite.
Now he knows what to do next time.
Yeah.
what is the best piece of advice you've ever been given?
Honestly, probably that nobody ever really knows what they're doing, and everybody's kind of just making it up as they go along.
Yes. Oh, it's so true though, isn't it? So true. So true. What is your favorite smell that brings back emotions or memories, or that you just really like it?
There is a candle that I particularly like, which is a diptyque candle called Feu de Bois. This is so pretentious. A diptyque candle called Feu de Bois, and it reminds me of a play I did where it was lit in a dressing room the whole time, and it always smelled of that, and it's really good memories.
Oh, that's lush. That's really nice.
Really
I mean,
nice.
a bit of a fire hazard in a theatre, but no, that's really nice.
Fire hazard, completely not allowed, but you know what?
But it smelled really good, so it's okay.
So it was fine.
So we've got 2 questions we like to ask all of our guests. So one of them is, if you could recast any film using just the Muppets and one token human, what film would it be, and who would be the token human?
Oh my god. Okay. It would have to be. I should have thought about this one more. Recast a film with one token human, and I mean, maybe it would be Parent Trap with Miss Piggy and Jennifer Lawrence.
Okay.
So I would have
Would they be the twins? Would they be Miss Piggy?
That's genius, because it's obvious that they're not twins, but everyone in the entire film would have to act like they look alike.
Absolutely, one of the most beautiful women in the world.
And Miss Piggy.
Yeah,
That is fucking genius.
That's great. That's really good.
We get so many new ideas for movies, by the way, with that question. So we're just going to put that on our list.
Keeping a little tally. Netflix, you can't have that one. That's ours. Okay. And realistically, how long do you think you would survive in a zombie apocalypse?
I'd be dead on day one.
Really? Why? You're resourceful.
I'd love to think that I would be there until the end, but I think I'd probably just do something stupid and I'd be eaten by a zombie, or I'd just go, you know what, there's no hope, and I'd join them.
You just join.
Join them. Come bite me, guys. I'm ready to go in.
Get it here. Let's go for it. No, maybe I'd be better than I think I would.
You'd be good, surely.
Yeah.
You could just throw James to them and then run in the opposite direction.
Yeah, perfect. No, I can't force majeure him. I can't do that. No, I think it would probably be me. But it'd be like in a dazzling act of bravery where I sacrifice myself for the
greater good.
If you're going out, you're going out stylishly. That's good.
Yeah.
That's brilliant.
Has anyone asked you guys?
No one's ever asked us actually. I think I'd be fine because I married the right guy. He's good at, hunting and bushcraft, and we have axes and crossbows and machetes. We're a bit of a strange couple. So I think we'd be good. Without a doubt, he would sacrifice me to zombies if it came to it, without a doubt. If I was by myself, no, I don't think it'd be great. I'd only survive because of him, but that was in our marriage vows. So I know I'm good with it. Yeah. We thought ahead. Preparation is key.
I think it would last like a little bit, but I would not be like paying attention. It would be something small, like they would be giving us like directions, the survivors, and like, you go here, don't go that way. And I wouldn't pay attention, and I would just be an error and die.
You'd be too busy with your
I would not go out with any glory. I would not go out saving anybody. People would see me in the distance, be like, no, oh man, there goes Ashley. She's done. That would be me.
I think I would do okay because I'm like a huge wimp. So if I see anything where I'm like stranger danger, I'm like, I ain't going over there. Y'all are crazy. I'm just gonna stay right over here. But like now I have this intense fear of like the woods. Like I love being in the woods. I don't know why. But like every little crackle, I'm like on high alert. So I think I would, and I would run. I'm not afraid to run. So I think I would run and hide. And I might end up starving to death. Maybe that might be how I go out. Or I might get like a cut and then, have an infection and die that way. But yeah. I don't know.
No glory.
So
definitely no glory. I'd be like I would hopefully not like Eugene. I mean, he's a coward, but
You survived this long. I know why you're scared of the woods, Heather. It's because you live where they filmed The Walking Dead, and there's just lots and lots of footage of zombies walking through the woods. So I can completely get why you're terrified of the woods.
Well, and I live near where they filmed Deliverance, and I mean that movie is just creepy as
well, there you go.
You know. Yeah. Well, you know, live in the mountains. It's like all the ghost stories, like Appalachian Mountains, like the ghost stories. Like I swear that's why I'm petrified. Like growing up, you hear all the ghost stories, and it's like don't go out after dark. And Blair Witch Project majorly.
Yeah.
Again.
That was horrible though. Oh. So between the four of us, we probably wouldn't be the best team, but you know, we'd look good. So it's fine. It's fine. Until my lashes fall out after like 3 weeks and I'll be like, they look like a potato. And then I'll just run into the zombies. There you go. Kamikaze. Right. So I also forgot to ask you if you have any little quirks or interesting facts about yourself that not many other people know, because we love to hear those.
I mean, it's not really a quirk, but I guess it's an interesting fact. I was partially deaf when I was younger.
And you're not now?
Not now, no. I had loads of operations when I was younger, and what was I saying? So I was partially deaf when I was younger, and I remember crying when I heard the kettle for the first time because I thought the kettle was some kind of monster or something. And my mum was outside, and I started screaming at her, and she was like, "What on earth is it?" And I was like, "There's something in the kitchen," and it was a kettle. But I just really was partially deaf.
So how old were you when you fully got your hearing?
9.
Wow, that's quite. So before then, did you have to communicate with sign language or lip reading, or could you hear a little bit?
Yeah, it was. I could, if it was one-on-one, I was great. It was absolutely fine, and it was quite difficult because it went kind of undiagnosed for a while because I think my teachers at school thought I was maybe just not concentrating or not listening or not paying attention, but actually it was just that I couldn't really hear them. And so one-on-one was kind of fine, and we, in a family group, but just certain pitches and sounds not great. I obviously don't really remember this at all, so it was a long time ago now.
Oh,
interesting fact, I think.
My heart breaks for 8-year-old Libby when the teachers are saying that she's not trying hard enough.
Seriously, you don't stand a chance with this one.
Oh, well, thank you for sharing that. That's amazing.
And only if your teachers knew, like, you are like this producer now, like.
Yeah, like I then became an actor and a producer, and I was like, words became how I made money. Yeah, I know.
Yeah. Amazing. That is just incredible. Thank you for delving into my ridiculous mind. And thank you for letting us know you a little bit more. I will pass you into the capable hands of Ashley.
Yes. So I always like to start off like, where are you from? Sorry, I have a tickle in my throat. Where you're from, and then how you kind of got into whatever love was first for you.
Yeah. So I'm from Southeast London, which actually was an incredible place to grow up. At the time, I think I thought it was super boring and super dull, but we had central London on our doorstep. You didn't need any money. You could get on a train and go into town, and there were galleries, and there were South Bank, and you could just sit there all afternoon and people watch it. That's what you wanted to do. So there was a lot of entertainment and there was a lot of stuff to do. I think my first love was dance. I was obsessed with ballet when I was younger. I was an associate at the Erdang Academy from quite a young age, so I kind of trained in dance for a really long time, spent most of my time at school, at secondary school, dancing, choreographing, making up little dances with my friends. I think if TikTok had been around when I was at school, I think my life might have gone in a very different, hideous direction. But no, I absolutely loved dance. And then when I got a little bit older, I really got into theatre. I went to see Cats when I was younger. And I remember Old Deuteronomy. I don't know if you guys know. Do you know the musical? Yeah. So there's a bit at the end where Old Deuteronomy walks around this beautiful theatre, and a bit of his coat fell off on the floor. And I remember at the end of the performance picking it up and just being like, oh my God, I'm holding a piece of magic. This is theatre, this is magic, and absolutely having the bug kind of from then. And so that kind of fed into the rest of my life. When me and 3 of my friends were 17, I think, we decided we were going to really obnoxiously take a play to Edinburgh Fringe, and our school and our parents, much probably to their better judgment, let us go, and we spent 2 weeks putting on a play up in Edinburgh, just these 4 17-year-old girls, and it was phenomenal. We had a great time, but it really taught me about the importance of audience, and how, while you might think something is incredibly entertaining and is incredibly fun for you to do. We did 448 Psychosis by Sarah Kane, which I don't know if you know the play, but there's a lot of swearing. We did a lot of dancing around to Prodigy, which actually makes me cringe now to think about, and my poor family and friends coming to see it and just sitting in the front row of like 4 people and just having us swear in their faces and be really zany and out there. But I think that kind of taught me from a really early age how important audience can be when you're making something. And then I left school, obviously, and then went to Manchester. So I studied English and drama at Manchester. And again, that kind of do-it-yourself theatre making continued when I was there. I got really involved with the Drama Society while I was at uni, and there was an incredible group of people while we were there, all of whom now are still working in the industry, different sections of the industry. And we've got really successful writers, directors, producers, comedians. And it was all about a kind of 3 or 4 years that we were all there at the same time. But it was lots of making plays, putting plays on, putting shows on, again, taking shows to Edinburgh. That was a big kind of training ground for me, Edinburgh. And again, this idea of the audience, which actually led us in, I can't remember what year it was, to set up an app that called the Theatre Ninjas. That was a kind of...
Love that name.
It was a great name. We had great stickers, we had beer mats, we had all sorts of merch. And we kind of set it up for people that if they'd have, taken a show up to Edinburgh, there's nothing worse than performing to 2 people. You've spent money to get there, you've spent your time, you want people to see the show. And so, half hour before the show would start, people could upload free tickets to our app. And then members of the public could look on the app, see what was around and go and see something. And then the idea was that they would then spread, oh, this show I thought was great. And it would all be word of mouth. So again, it's kind of the second example of it being about what the audience is looking for as much as what the performers are wanting to show and what they're wanting to create. So that was kind of the Edinburgh experience. And then while we were there, we got involved a lot with the National Student Drama Festival, which is an incredible organisation that encourages students to get into theatre. And from there I auditioned to be part of their ensemble and did a bit of a tour of the UK with them, which again was just a brilliant experience. But it started with dance and then it moved to theatre.
Okay.
And I feel like I've really rambled there about the original question, but
that's great. I mean, it kind of gives a little highlight that I think it just showcased that you don't do just one thing lightly. You like encompass it at all. Like you created an app because you're like, I'm going to perform and people are going to come watch me. So I'm just going to create this app to get my name out there. I think that's really amazing.
There was like a group of about 8 of us that set up this app.
Is the app still open? Is it still like a live app? No, it's
no.
But it's maybe
no, it got to where someone had to give up their job or someone had to take it on full time, and I think it became an agreement that we just couldn't do it. Yeah.
That's really amazing. And you kind of touched a little bit, like obviously I like to ask about your support system, but your parents seem to support you in your dreams of being a dancer or actor. So from going on acting and you were doing touring, how did you kind of, because you're a director and a producer and a writer, how did you kind of fall into those passions, or were they always encompassed in everything you were doing?
No, they weren't at all, actually. I think I was very fortunate that one of my first professional jobs was in Trevor Nunn's season at the Haymarket, which it was a production of The Tempest, and I played Miranda opposite Ray Fiennes, which was like a phenomenal experience as one of my first jobs. It was unbelievable. I thought that's what my career was going to be like for the rest of time and the rest of my life. And one of the other actresses in the play had spoken to me. She was actually it was the play before, but she was on the cusp of making her first feature film as a producer, but also as an actor. And she had her name's Fiona Gillies, and she's fucking incredible. She had teenage children at the time, and so she was a couple of years ahead of me, and she very much kind of took me to one side, and I remember her being like, if you want to have any control over your career and what you end up doing, the best thing you can do to empower yourself is to make your own work. And that obviously really struck a chord with me, because it's what I've been doing for years anyway. But it was not just in theatre. It was like she was the first person that kind of opened my eyes to this idea of being able to make a film, or being able to put myself in a role, or to create something. And she also worked a lot with her partner, still does work a lot with her partner. Their first film was called City Slacker, which I think you can get on Amazon, and it's a brilliant, brilliant film. And so I think she was the person that kind of opened my eyes to this. And it was at this really pivotal time in my life where, you know, I felt like I was going to continue acting and continue being leads and continue this wonderful trajectory of work, because I hadn't really known anything else. Whereas she, from her kind of point of much more experience and life experience within the industry, just had this insight and looked at me and was like, you should make your own work and you should do this. And that was an incredible turning point for me, because it was the first time anyone had said to me that I could do that outside of theatre. Mm-hmm. You know, theatre made sense to me that it was do it yourself, but film, I was like, really? Oh, I didn't really know you could do that. So yeah, it was Fiona Gillies.
How did you, so once she kind of sparked that inside you, how did you start to basically learn how to do that? I mean, because you said you went to college for drama and literature, right? Did I get that right? I'm sorry.
English, yeah.
English, okay. So you went there. So how did you basically learn the ropes to become this?
So I kind of got to blame my husband for this one. Yeah, I think I've got to blame James for this one. He got this idea into his head that he wanted to make a short film with some friends of ours that we didn't go on to making, called Morning is Broken. And he kind of dragged me into it. And at that point I was acting loads, and so I wasn't really that interested in it. And I kind of was a bit like, ugh, I know Fiona said I should, but I'm fine. I'm doing telly and it's all fine. But he had this dream that we were going to make this film, and kind of dragged me along kicking and screaming. And we made this brilliant, beautiful film I'm really proud of, called Morning is Broken, that actually became one of the BFI's, they run a scheme called 5 Films for Freedom, which is promoting love as an equal right across the world. So it's lots of LGBTQIA plus stories, and ours was a story that fitted the brief, and screened in like 120 countries around the world and through the British Council's website. And so the film did incredibly well. But really it was James that dragged me into it. And that's where I got the bug, and I realized that making stuff was awesome. And yeah, it's his fault.
Okay, so with that, of making that for first short, you've made many shorts, or have you written or produced? I think there's 13 under your belt. Am I correct in that?
Yeah, and there's another 10 coming.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
So one of the ones that you did was the Fortress Built by Nature.
Yeah.
So you were a writer on that with the director being Patrick Walsh. Can you talk about a little bit of that project and kind of how you got into that as well?
Yeah. So Pat actually was our editor on Morning is Broken.
Okay.
He is so talented.
Mm-hmm.
He's one of those really kind of quite quiet, unassuming personalities that, like, when you get him talking about film, he's just annoyingly good, annoyingly talented. And he'd written another short that we'd produced called Ostrich that we did a couple of years ago. It was a political thriller, and again, it's a wonderful film. Check it out. I'm pretty sure it's on Vimeo. And it was over lockdown. We were both getting really irate about this, about our government, the UK's government's handling of the pandemic, and how it seemed that lots of really wealthy MPs were making lots and lots of money selling private contracts. Mm-hmm. Well, not selling, that's the wrong word, but through private contracts. And there was a lot of MPs who were benefiting from that. Pat had this idea to write a script about it, and kind of came to me and James because we've collaborated lots of times before. And from there, we decided to kind of write it together. So we worked on that for a really long time. Pat was the lead writer, so I kind of dug in on quite a lot of it, and it was a process I really enjoyed. It's quite nice. There's almost like a little collective in a way, because the DOP we work with a lot is a guy called Phil Arntz, who again is phenomenal. He does a lot of action cinematography, and I was always so lucky to get to work with him. But the four of us create this really nice little working environment. We know each other really well, so we work together really well, and that's why we were able to make this fortress built by nature the week after I think the lockdown lifted in the UK. So we were prepping it the whole way through, trying to get our COVID protocols in place. And at that point, it was so up in the air of what the hell a COVID protocol would be or would look like. But we figured if the pubs were open and people could go to the pubs, then we could make a film. And that's how that film came about, really.
It's a great film, and you can watch it on, I think it's on YouTube is where I watched it on. So I think that you can find it there if someone's interested in that. So keeping on with your short films and things like that, you also are a producer. Let me make sure I'm saying this right. Co-founder and producer of the Female Film Force in association with Bumble. Can you talk a little bit more about that?
Yeah, that came about. So actually, one of my kind of closest friends who I was at Manchester with, again, like that, those few years at Manchester were genuinely incredible. But a lady called Amy Dowd came to me a couple of years ago, and she runs her own PR company, and she'd been to BAFTA that year, and I think it was the year where there was only one female nominated in the statistics for women being nominated for awards was just diabolical. And she kind of came to me and she was like, what are we going to do about this? How are we going to change this? What can we actively do within the industry to get more women, more female voices into this industry so it's not so male dominated? And we kind of talked about it a lot, went back and forth, and we were like, we should make a film fund. We should support people, because one of my biggest things is, one of the quickest ways you can help people is by supporting them to make something. So by funding them to make something, because who the hell has got 10 grand lying around to make a film? I mean, I know I don't. And you know, if you don't go through something like the National Television School, or you don't go through traditional structures like the BFI, and you don't get funding that way, like how do you break into the industry? What are we going to do to get different voices in? And so anyway, I kind of put this pitch together of an idea for a film fund that I thought was quite reasonable. At the time, I think I pitched her that we should go for £15,000 for, I think it was 3 films, and Bumble should give us the money, and we should put this scheme together, and we should make the application process really easy and get people to apply. And at the time, I think it was £5,000 more than any other short film fund that was running. And Amy, being Amy, with her kind of PR hat, was like, oh, that money's kind of nothing. So she went to Bumble and she was like, we want 20 grand per film, and we want to make 5. And they said yes, because they're a female kind of, you know, women make the first move is their whole kind of motto. And they said yes, and I think it was about 2 weeks later, suddenly we were a bit like, oh shit, we're
this is happening.
Yeah, okay, this is happening. And since then we ran it for, I think it's 3 years across. So we've got films that were made in the UK, Ireland, France, and Germany, and they've won countless awards. We were nominated, actually, one of the films I worked on, which is Dolapo Is Fine, one of the films you were talking about at the beginning, won. Chibundu and Joan won, and Atosha, the director. They were so talented, all of them. They won the American Black Film Festival.
Yeah.
For the shorts competition. Like, they just absolutely smashed it, and they were longlisted for a BAFTA. That's just one of the successes out of the 10 films that we made, but it's an incredible scheme, and you know, we're always looking for funding. We're not working with Bumble on it again this year because I think they've got different priorities. Post-pandemic world is a very different world, but we're hoping that one day we might run it again. It's an incredible scheme and such brilliant work. Also, just to go back and name check those people, that's Joan Iola, who was one of the writers and also stars in the film, Chibundu Anu, who was also one of the writers, who was on Reese Witherspoon's Book of the Week last week. She's got a new book out, check it out. And Atosha Hilton, who has now gone on to direct loads of episodes of TV. She was the director of the piece.
Yeah, I was going to talk about them too, because it won 5 awards, and then it was a nominated for 5 additional awards, and it won the HBO Short Film Award, which is where you can currently watch it. if you have HBO Max, you can watch it on there. I mean, what an amazing short to be a part of. I mean, it was I watched it. It was just an awesome project done. And it's so cool that, because I know at least for the US here, when I think of shorts, I think of like student films or just like, you know, people trying to get their foot in the door. And sometimes the quality is, you know, you're just trying to get your foot in the door. It's your first one. But this one it was just amazing. And it just what shorts can be. It can be a whole story. So that was really cool. Is there anything else you would like to mention about it? I mean, amazing cast, amazing risers, like you've already mentioned.
William's incredible. The lead actress in it, she's amazing. I think it just goes to show what supporting, like Joan, who was Joan is such a powerhouse. She's a phenomenal actress and she's done so much, but she probably wasn't in a position where, and I may be wrong about this, but she probably wasn't in a position where anyone out of the blue was going to go, here's 20 grand, make a film. And
right.
That's what schemes like this is so brilliant about. It's talent selection, but it's also talent like support. So it's not going, here's money, make your film and make your mistakes. And, you know, if it's rubbish, it's rubbish. It's going, here's money, we'll support you through this. If it fails, it fails. There's, you know, not every film you make is going to be a BAFTA longlisted or an Oscar winner, you know, but it's supporting people and giving people a chance that I think through traditional structures of funding, particularly public body funding, they don't get the chance to do that because you have to have jumped through certain hoops, or the application process is really obstructive, or it's difficult to understand, or you know, how do you stand out in that? But yeah, so I think that I can't quite remember the question that you actually asked me.
I'm just like, yes to everything you're saying. No, I just think it's amazing, like, to create these kind of fundings or programs that help anyone, but especially women. Because I was also doing some research and saw that as of 2019, and again, it's 2019, no females had been nominated in any major categories for short films. So such as best director or best films. So I think that there are programs like this are clearly needed. I mean, it's insane to think about that. It's 2019, at least when I got that statistic, and there hasn't been any. And there's clearly amazing producers, directors that are females out there.
Oh, it's amazing talent. There's amazing talent. Also, I've seen it kind of firsthand, you know.
Yeah.
I've been working for as long as my husband and my kind of creative collaborators. It's taken me a lot longer to get you know, to get to a place. It's taken me a lot longer. And whether that's a lack of self-belief, or it's a lack of role models, or it's a lack of, you know, I don't know what that is. It's just harder. And I think anything we can do to support women, to support filmmakers from underrepresented backgrounds, it's not just about women.
Yeah.
It's about any voice that's just not heard. I think, and it's also taking a chance on people and trusting that people aren't gonna mess up. And if you give someone an opportunity like that, they're going to work damn hard to make sure they make the most of that opportunity.
Exactly. Speaking of different foundations, you also you're one of the producers, as we mentioned earlier, with Netflix with a short documentary. Do you want to talk about that?
Yeah. So that's the Netflix Documentary Talent Fund. So we're running that in the UK at the moment. We've got 10 films, 10 short documentaries that are most of them are in post now, which is really exciting. But they've been in. It was a kind of a countrywide call out for applications with the theme "Britain's Not Boring and Here's a Story," and we got some incredible pictures from all over the UK with amazing stories. And this one isn't specifically female. This is open to anyone of all ages, everyone. We encourage to apply to this. And the 10 films we've got in production at the minute are just brilliant. But that's what Netflix can do. It's kind of what I was touching on earlier about the more traditional routes of companies who have got involved with funding before. They have checks and balances and ways that they have to run things. Whereas Netflix can they've changed the game. They just come in and they've put money into it. They're putting development time into it. They're putting their resources into it. I mean, I'm biased, sure, but the amount of support that these teams have had, sometimes I look at it and I go, I would love to be on this. This is awesome. I would love this kind of support and this kind of access. And it definitely shows, because the films are all coming back and they're brilliant. And the talent is there, and it's again people that haven't been supported by traditional structures or traditional routes of funding, and it's really exciting, and it is amazing to work with a company like Netflix on it because they are so forward thinking.
Awesome. Well, that's all the questions I had on my end. I'm going to pass you on to Heather's section right now.
So usually I start my section with just kind of asking about days on set, but I kind of want to know because in the short film you did, This Fortress Built by Nature, you were acting in it and you produced it. And how do you juggle doing all of that while you're filming it? Because it just seems to be a really huge undertaking.
Yeah, I think you can't do it without other people. So, again, I've talked about this kind of collective that we work with. I wouldn't have been able to do it if it wasn't for the trust and the relationship that we already had there. Also, because it was COVID, it was still kind of peak COVID, even though the pubs were open. That we could only have there. I think there was, God, how many of us were there? I think there was about 8 of us or something ridiculous. And Joan, who is in it with James and I, and Fiona Gillies, who I mention as one of my biggest mentors, she is also stars in the film. And Joan Iola, who is one of the writers and also stars in Dolapo Is Fine, was also in it. So it's kind of like bringing all of these people that you really trust and love together to make something. That's the only way I think we were able to act in it and to produce it. And because there's a lot of trust in the room, like they know that we're going to do our very best to keep everyone safe and to make the best quality piece that we can. Patrick is a brilliant director, and we're working with Phil again. I'm sorry, no, I realize I'm just naming names, but when everyone's really good at what they do, it does make it really easy. Yeah.
And you may have answered this before. How long did it take you guys to film This Fortress is Built by Nature?
I think we did it over 3 days. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was 3 days. Might have been a bit less.
And how long? And how long did post-production take to put it all together where it was ready to go?
We did it really quickly. I think we turned it around in about 3 weeks.
Oh wow!
It was super fast. But we wanted to get it out really quickly because there's loads of big dramas that are being made about it. I think Winterbottom's done a massive one about the handling of the pandemic. And at the time people were talking about it, and I don't know, I think we just wanted to get it out there and we just wanted to have a response. It was much more naming names at the beginning, and then we sought legal advice, and we had to take them out because they were like, no, they'll sue you. They will.
Boris is a dick. So you were saying that, were you?
Basically, we ended. I can't remember if it's still. God, I can't remember if it's still in the film. But at the end of it, we had voiceover of Boris. There was some bits in the film in one of the original cuts where we had voiceover of certain politicians talking about things, and no, we definitely did have to. But also we got Lucien Mesmarty to voice it. He's one of my favourite British actors. We just reached out to him and was like, do you want to be involved in this? And he said yes. I mean, it was incredible. Shobna Gulati as well. I mean, and Toby Regbo from The Last Kingdom. That was a favour. James rang him up and was like, please will you do this? But yeah, it really helps when you know people and there's the trust there.
Yeah.
Are you going to do a part 2 because it ended on a cliffhanger? And I was like, what? And then I was like, wait a minute, was I not paying attention? So then I had to rewind it and I'm like, no, she didn't. I can't spoil it, but will there be a part 2 or is it just totally up for the viewer to figure out what she did?
We've left it for the viewer to figure out. But you'll have to ask Patrick if we're doing another one.
Oh, well, that's obviously I have to reach out to Patrick now and be like, you have to go on the podcast because Libby says you got to tell us if there's a part 2. I mean, not even a part 2. I feel like it needs to be just a whole movie. I'm just going to go ahead and put it out there for you guys.
Yeah, we were kind of thinking about pitching it as a TV series, but then everybody got busy with other work, which was a bit of a shock after COVID because nobody had worked for like 3 months. And then opened and everyone was like, oh, real life. Okay, yeah.
Rude.
Yeah. So I guess what for those aspiring producers out there who are listening to the podcast, what is, when you just have on your producer hat, what is a typical day on set for you? And you could, you could talk about a specific like Dolapo Is Fine, or choose another, short that you produce, but just kind of a general, what is it like as a producer on set?
I mean, Dolapo, I EP'd that, so I executively produced that. I EP'd all of the 10 Bumble films. So they have their own standalone producers. So I kind of was there as a bit of a cheerleader for most of the day. It can completely vary. And it's very different on short film sets, what you end up doing. It's much more, when you're producing, for example, if it was a big TV series or a big film, you have very specific roles. But I feel like in the short film world, if you're the producer, you're kind of doing everything. You're kind of doing everything that nobody else has time to do, and also kind of facilitating something for everyone. So as a producer on set of a short film, your day starts and ends probably before and after everyone else's, which is really different because normally, crew work crazy hours. I don't know how they do it. I really don't. And I think they are incredible. And there's been lots of obviously discussion in the media at the moment about better working conditions and better, I know there's been a huge movement in the States to get crew better hours and to recognize how stressful it can be. And I don't think you can underestimate that. And everybody in short film, I think, turns up with their absolute A game and goes over and above. So I don't know, it's difficult for me to talk about what it's like as a day in the life of a producer on set of a short film, because it will be completely different on each set. That's the only way I can kind of describe it.
So what is your favorite part then of being a producer? What do you just enjoy and love the most?
Well, I kind of love being a kind of a creative producer on it. So the paperwork side of things, I don't love. I don't love it as much, which is why I've moved away from doing that. I'm very happy to kind of EP things. I really love doing that. The part about it I love the most is watching everything you've kind of pulled together come together. And if you're in a room, like when we made This Fortress Built by Nature, there was an incredible moment where we just shot a scene between James and Fiona, and it was just so good. And you're sitting there watching it and you're kind of like, God damn it, like this is all here because of the work that we've done to put it together. And that's just really special moments. And you get into the edit then, and then when you see your first rough cut, you think, God, what did we make? This is terrible. And then it gets to a point where you're like, this is never going to work. And then you have a breakthrough and you're like, this is probably the best film ever and we're going to win Oscars and this is going to be phenomenal. So it's quite a ride. But I think the best moment is seeing the hard work that you've put into it come to fruition. And you've been able to facilitate everyone doing their best work.
Yeah. So is there something that you've done that you feel like has shaped your career or been the most impactful on your career thus far?
Like a particular job or?
Yeah, or just, it could be anything, just something that when you reflect back on your journey, you just feel like it really kind of impacted to help you get where you are today.
I think as soon as I opened my mind to the possibility of not just being an actor, don't get me wrong, I still, like, the majority of how I make my money is from acting. And I will always be an actor. It's kind of like what John East was saying last week on one of your episodes that you did. He was talking about, he's produced, he's done, storyboard, he's done all of these different jobs, but at the heart of it, he's always a director. It's always what he wants to do. And I think that's very much the same. People see acting and producing and directing and writing, everyone kind of wants to put you into a box to be like, you are an actor, you are a writer, you are a producer. Whereas I think for me, it's just more than that. And that was a real turning point in my career when I became much happier, because there's been some really horrible lows as well. It's not just all been making things and being creative and being working all the time. When I did my first kind of professional acting job, I touched on the fact it was quite big and there was a reasonable amount of publicity around it, and I felt like that was just going to be the way my career went and that was just going to be great. And then I made some terrible decisions where I moved agents at the end of it, and then I fell through the cracks. I didn't audition for anything for about a year and a half, and I sat at home and I literally was like, what have I done wrong? Was I terrible in that show? Like, sure, I probably could have been better, but what was it? What went wrong there? and you kind of blame yourself a lot for things. But the older I've got, the more I've realized that there is no linear path in this industry. There's no, you do one job and it builds to another, and it builds. It doesn't really work like that. You can do one job and then maybe you won't work for 2 years, and then maybe you'll do another job. But it's for me, it's about pivoting and finding things that keep me mentally sound and that keep me entertained, because I do also have an incredibly short attention span. And I think it's from being a creative person. I'm sure you guys can agree with this. I'm sure you can empathize. But the biggest turning point for me in my career was when I realized that I didn't have to just be one thing, that I could be more than one thing, and also that I could help other people be more than one thing and help them develop and be a cheerleader and just make great work that I want to see. So hopefully everyone else does too.
Sorry, I'm just listening. That was such a great answer. I'm just
so
inspirational. I'm like, damn it, I can be many things. Yes.
Yeah, people will they'll try and tell you what you can. The amount of people that said to me, "Oh, so you're not acting anymore?" I'm like, I just finished a play. I'm doing a play again in December next year. Like, I know, you do lots of different things. It's people's perception. I think if you let go of what people expect you to be, you'll be much freer and much happier, and your soul will just be much happier.
Yeah. And that goes for every walk of life, not just the entertainment industry. Every walk of life, just let go.
Well, and you had mentioned, being a creative and getting bored easily. I'm sure quarantine was just like probably hell for you, like just being confined. But you did mention earlier, during quarantine, you were in Budapest. So do you want to talk about what you did out there to keep yourself from?
Well, that was great, actually. So our first lockdown, I don't know how many you had in the States, but
well, it depends on where you live in the States. In Georgia, COVID just didn't exist. Like, it was just made up. So we were just like doing whatever we wanted to do. Woo! Yeah. So.
Okay. Well, we didn't quite have that. It wasn't quite like that. We had our first kind of 3-month lockdown where we were just stuck at home, and that was when nobody really knew what it was. It was a bit scary, and luckily though, James and I were obviously quarantined together. So he became my kind of, I bleached his hair. We made loads of crazy little videos. We got a bit mad about the garden. We decided it was a good idea to have a glass of wine at like 2 o'clock every afternoon, because why not? And that it was terribly French, but I don't know how French it is when you're just sitting in your living room and you're not really going anywhere other than for a half-hour walk a day.
Sounds legit to me. Definitely legit. Yeah.
Totally fun. So there was that first lockdown, and the second one, the 5th season of The Last Kingdom was shooting in Hungary, and so they were all going out, and part of the thing was that because of COVID there was no flying back and forth, so we had to think about whether or not we were going to do, I think it was 9 months, maybe 8 months apart, with me in the UK, because I was working for Netflix then, me in the UK and James in Budapest, or if we were going to see if I could get a job and make it work with me being out in Hungary as well. And amazingly we did, but because of a lot of the stuff that we've made before and the filmmaking we've done before. So I did a lot of photography and a lot of capture, kind of social capture on set that I won't be editing, guys, so I don't have control over any of it. That will be Carnival. But so I got to spend this amazing 8 months working on the Netflix doc fund, but because everything was over Zoom, I could do that from anywhere. And being in Budapest locked down with all of the cast for 8 months, and it was amazing. I feel really, really lucky. And that cast of actors are genuinely, I know everyone always talks about them being like a little family, but I feel like they're my family now as well. They're really genuine. The show is made with such love and such talent, and it's going to be a great season. And it was kind of an honor to be there, to be honest. It really was. And also, I know this is public knowledge now, but Alex Drayman directed an episode.
Yeah.
And that was just incredible. So I kind of got to go to set all the time and watch, and because I was COVID testing with everyone, I got to watch the process of how it's made, which was genuinely such a unique opportunity to see how long-running TV is made like that. And I've got some hilarious behind-the-scenes stuff of everyone, but whether or not it'll ever be seen, I don't know.
Oh, if only we'd known.
I know. No, they're all brilliant, and yeah, if you're a fan of The Last Kingdom, you're in for such a treat. It's really good season.
Yeah, hopefully it'll be coming out sometime soon.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, that and the new movie, right? They're doing a new movie, like a little short movie or something, I think was announced.
2 hours.
Something.
Yeah, something like that. No, I won't be going to Budapest. I'll try and wangle myself
Back in there.
yeah, back into the fold. No, but yeah, I think they announce it a couple of weeks ago.
Did you?
Yeah.
I mean, I'll keep watching. I'm a genuine fan as well.
Mm-hmm. It's a great show.
Yeah, I mean,
I love historical dramas, so I mean,
yeah. Yeah. Originally, like I had to be sportive because James joined in season 2.
Yeah.
And so I was like, oh, love it. Oh, great.
Is that how you felt about his haircut too? I love it. Like straight across.
You know, this is probably a bit personal, but we got married a couple of years ago, and part of we did it all really quickly. We kind of got engaged, and we've been together for a really long time, but we got engaged and married in about 5 months, and that was because they were starting filming again. And I was like, over my dead body, that haircut in our wedding.
But how epic would that have been? Like if that was his haircut.
No, actually, it wouldn't have.
That's how my mind goes. I would be like, yes, this is happening.
Well, I think we have our quote for the Instagram, yeah. Over my dead body.
Over my dead body, was he going to have that haircut?
I love that.
No, I just have this visual of like,
yeah,
with the straight across.
Really stern haircut. No.
Talking about how much you love each other and what you mean to each other, but you're having to stare at that hair, you know?
Just, staring at the bangs, and you're just like, for better or worse.
This is it.
Sorry. That was a good laugh. So do you have anything that is coming out soon? You had mentioned something earlier. Can you talk about any of that?
Yeah, we made another short, again with Patrick directing and Phil shooting. James and I produced it. We're also in this one as well. It's a World War I period piece. It's a short film, also starring Maisie Giovanelli, who is incredible. She's really young and is sickeningly talented, and will be really successful. She also has a twin sister, and they're both just brilliant, and their mum is great, and they're just great. Anyway, that film we are releasing to chime with Remembrance Day, which in the UK is this Sunday. So we're going to release it next week onto YouTube and onto Vimeo. We did a charity screening for it last year, which we weren't able to say how much money we raised from it at the time, but if anyone was wondering, I think it was about £1,890, which was incredible just from this one Zoom screening. So thank you very much if you watched and donated last year. It's a very belated thank you. But we're going to be releasing that online next week. So that'll be on socials, channels, I imagine. That's how we'll be spamming it out to everyone. So if you want to watch it, it's a beautiful piece about a mother and a daughter in the Staffordshire countryside.
So as we end the podcast, we always like to ask for 3 words that you would use to describe your career or path up to this point.
Yes. Unexpected, joyful, and lucky.
That's nice.
Yeah, I think they're my 3. Unexpected, joyful, and lucky.
And what would be your one piece of advice that you wish maybe someone had told you when you were younger, or that you have for someone who is just now starting down this path?
I think I've kind of talked about it a lot throughout the whole podcast, but this idea that you can be more than one thing, and that careers aren't necessarily linear. You don't be afraid to do something else if the opportunity comes up. Don't feel like you're not good enough. Don't second guess yourself. I wish I'd had more confidence in myself and my abilities, and I wish I'd realized that all of the things that I had done up until this point were actually pretty cool. And rather than beating myself up when I wasn't working, or beating myself up because I didn't think something was good enough, or because somebody made me feel terrible about myself because they asked me if I was still acting, or if, I was just producing now or anything, I wish I just had more confidence in myself to just be quite okay with that, because that's just someone else's opinion, you know. And at the end of the day, I've got to be okay with who I am and what I'm doing. And I think that's the same with everyone. I think as long as you can find something within yourself that you're happy with and respect yourself. I think there's times in the past where I wish I'd respected my opinion or my own thoughts on things a bit more. But yeah, I would say there's no singular path. Don't be afraid to make mistakes. Don't be afraid to try new things. Keep your mind open and just only do it if you love it. And if something's not making you happy and it's making you feel terrible about yourself, then change it. You don't have to be in that situation, even if the industry kind of tells you that you should stay where you are and you shouldn't move. And have ideas and be creative and be different. And just because someone isn't doing it already doesn't mean that it shouldn't be done. And now I will shut up. But yeah, have faith.
Loving it.
Do you want to be my life coach? Like, again, as you were talking, I'm like, yes.
Do it.
I just wanted to be like with the you go girl.
Yeah, I know.
I can't pull that off. It's okay.
Yeah. All right. So as we wrap up, is there anywhere where our viewers can follow you on social media, like Twitter, Instagram? We know you have an Instagram account.
I have Instagram. My Twitter, I'm afraid, I don't really do Twitter.
That's okay. Ashley called it Tweeter.
I don't know how to work it. I don't understand it.
When do we all get old? I mean, really? Yeah. Yeah, I'm at Libby J Hopper on Instagram. I post a lot more to my stories than to my grid because I don't know about anyone else. I always kind of second guess myself. I'm like, no one's going to be interested in that. Delete that.
Well, the grid's so permanent too. It's like, it's a commitment. It's kind of like, I
obviously don't feel that. Mine's just full of shit, so I obviously don't worry. I'm like, no one's going to look at it anyway, so I just post it because it makes me happy.
I need to follow you, Keira, because that's the kind of content I need in my life.
It's usually dogs and food and funny quotes, really. That's me.
Okay. Well, Libby, thank you so much for coming on. As always, we appreciate everybody who's like, yeah, well, come talk to you. So I really appreciate your time.
Thank you. Genuinely, thank you so much. I know I said this to you guys probably off camera, but I think this is such a cool thing that you're doing. And I think it's thinking outside the box, and I just think it's great. And I've really enjoyed the other episodes that you've done. So I hope, I hope you guys edit this one so it's just as seamless. But no, thank you so much for having me. It's been lovely to talk.